Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing very well and enjoying the weather wherever you are. Yeah, the weather, if you don't like it, stick around, it'll change. So everybody says that, oh, that's what we say here and that's what we say there. But, and when I was growing up in Chicago, that's what we said. Hey, if you don't like the weather, stick around, it'll change. Anyhow, I thought I would jump on and I watched, I love Brian Enton. I love him. I've been watching him since, the horrible Idaho 4 tragedy. And that's when he first caught my eye. He was so good at reporting, so good at being on the scene and, getting all the inside information. So, I have a feeling about that sheriff. And in my last video, I told you guys I wanted to talk a little bit more about it. And I've been learning a lot about him in the past few days, like such as that when he was in El Paso, he was reprimanded quite a number of times. And he did an interview on the radio in Tucson yesterday on an AM station. And he said, yeah, well, I was only 20, blah, blah, blah. Well, we all make mistakes. We all do stupid things when we're younger. However, I have to say that, I'll have to do a video about it, but when I was that age, I was 19. I got pregnant and my boyfriend said adios and he left. I want to go become a dentist, and he did. He lives the high life out in California now. And there's more to that story, but we'll leave it at that. So, when he's given himself excuses for being late all the time or being defiant to his superiors, those are just not character traits that I would say, they should have been already ingrained in him. I used to panic at being late my whole life. Oh my gosh, I didn't want to be late, didn't want to be late, didn't want to be late. I had to go. I would always be early. That's when I was working. And I was never insubordinate to not one of my bosses through the years. And there were times I could have been. It's Min. Say hi, Minnie. She loves to sit on my lap. I tell her, let's go do a show, and she comes running. So, these are character qualities, and character qualities are built when you're young. And as a former school counselor, that was certainly something that we taught when I worked in elementary school. It was a huge, huge part of the curriculum was to teach good character traits and someone being trustworthy, honest, all these. There were 6 traits. I can't remember them all now, but patience, I'm trying to think. But I mean, it was so emphasized. The whole school participated, and the children got like a dollar, little fake dollar. We'd make up rewards, and then those students that had the most got to come down and spend them in a little store for having good character traits. And I know my son received a couple of times, he received, having, he got an award for having the best character. So these are traits that you learn early on in life that obviously this sheriff didn't learn. Not only did he not learn them, He's still showing bad traits of, just not being honest about his career, and plus on his resume or some paperwork, he had wrong dates and things like that. That's not something you accidentally do. When I make my resume, when I did used to make it, I was very, particular about getting the right dates and everything like that. So his character is in question as far as I'm concerned. And I think that I also heard from Brian that he was seen in the early stages of this investigation for Nancy Guthrie. He was seen driving in a Corvette with the top down going to the gym. So I just want to say, I think that's really, really in bad taste. I mean, there is an 84-year-old woman out there, could have been alive, could still be alive. We don't know. But you're driving with the top down in your Corvette. And how old is he with the gray hair? Not that there's anything wrong with people who like Corvettes. I dated a guy and we were friends until he passed away in 2018. And he collected Corvettes. And I have to tell you, they're fun. They're really fun to drive. So I don't blame anybody for loving Corvettes. But when you're in the middle of something so huge, doesn't it in your mind, don't you say to yourself, this isn't a good look for me right now? This is not something I should be doing right now. I should be focused on this terrible thing that's happened to this 84-year-old woman. Where's his concern, compassion? Does he even care how he looks? Now, I can tell you, we have a judge down here in Florida. I don't live in his county. I wish I did. But his name is Sheriff Grady Judd of Polk County. And you can go online and just type in his name and his videos will come up, because whenever he gets somebody, he goes on and talks about it, what the crimes were. I mean, he is just amazing at catching drug dealers and, trafficking and just all kinds of things. He's amazing. I love him. And I have a good sheriff in the county I live in too. He's just not so forward and outspoken as Sheriff Grady Judd. He's got that accent and everything. And he's amazing. There is no way he would have been in a Corvette with the top down going to work out if he was on the case with Nancy Guthrie. He would have had it solved by now. And I'm not saying anything to those people that are investigating and the FBI, but they should have been handed over the case. And this guy, he's the guy asked him on the radio, well, what is it that you're doing if you're not investigating? Well, I'm in charge of it. They report to me, but I'm not part of the investigation. What the heck? Tell that to Sheriff Grady Judd, and he will say, you're wrong. So, some interesting little bits that I picked up on with him from a psychological standpoint is that, he was asked if he could do it over again? Did he think he made mistakes? And he said no. 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 He did everything correctly. There's nothing he did that was a mistake. Now, who can say that? Who? Everybody can look at their life and say, oh, I wish I hadn't done this, or I wish I'd done that. And especially now that we're 50 days into this with Nancy being gone, and with the family, the Guthrie family, putting out a statement saying they just want their mother back so they can celebrate her life. They are accepting that she's probably no longer with us, and they want her to have a dignified and beautiful goodbye. And that just really gets me. Who is the person who took her that you thought you had that right? You had that right to take her from her family and deny them the right to even say goodbye. So, but the sheriff doesn't think he did anything wrong. When he opened up her home and said they were done investigating there after 2 days. Everybody says that was wrong. Everybody. And it was wrong. That house should still be locked down. The whole area in front of her house, all around her house, everything should have been locked down. There should have been a massive grid searches going on everywhere. For him to say he didn't do anything wrong sounds like a narcissist to me, a sociopath to me, driving in his Corvette, acting like he's some sort of big shot. And I think that I'm just going to say this, and I could be way, way off base. It's just my opinion. It's just what I think about people, and I study people psychologically. I always have, and in the Bible it says, be as wise as a serpent, as innocent as a dove. So a lot of people out there probably think I'm innocent, maybe stupid, whatever. But no, I keep quiet, and I like to observe. And I observe him to have a giant ego, which one of you wrote in the comments. I agree with you that he has this huge ego. And this is it, I believe that he may have gotten a criminal out of jail to do this crime because it would bring national attention. And when he was asked, let me just say this right now, he was asked if the neighborhood should be afraid right now, if this could happen again. And he said, absolutely. Absolutely. And then in the interview yesterday on the AM radio, he said, no, people don't have to worry. They can be safe. Just, kind of do your due diligence, lock your doors, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought to myself, well, he's really all over the place with this. And then he said, he goes, it's not like, this was the Guthrie family. So it's not like, a regular person, anybody else has to worry about it. But he emphasized the Guthrie family being, like a really big deal. And that makes me think maybe I'm right. Maybe he saw an opportunity to be on national news, to make up for the mistakes of his past, be more admired or something. Although 95% of people who live in Tucson now want another vote. 95% want another vote for sheriff because he lied on his application. So that tells me he's not well liked. So maybe he's trying to, look at me, I'm just great. And he's not going to hand it over because he is a narcissist. He's not going to hand it over and let the FBI take the credit for solving this case. Plus, I don't think he wants them to get a hold of it because I think the trail would lead right back to him. And again, only my opinion. Only my opinion. And I do not have a degree in law enforcement or in investigations, but I do have a degree in psychology, a master's in psychology. So I just think that he has definitely got ego problems. He's definitely just thinks a little too high of himself. He certainly is not humble in any means to say, I'm sure I could have done stuff better. If I had done something better, maybe we would have Nancy back. I mean, say something. Say something. Show some compassion, caring. My mouth is dry, so I might get a little drink. So, but yet he has shown no compassion. He has not shown care or even sadness or disgust that this has happened. And I tell you guys, go and look at Sheriff Grady Judd in Florida, Polk County, Polk. Grady, Grady, Judd, Judd. Just pick one of his news conferences and watch. And look at the difference between him and this guy in Tucson. It's night and day. Night and day. So with the information I gleaned from Brian's reporting, and I love Brian, the information that I got from his reporting today, from the interview that was done on AM radio with the sheriff, I just picked up a few more things that I thought were suspicious in regard to, that he just really thinks he's too big for his britches, really. He is too big for his britches. So go ahead, look at the differences between the two, and let me know in the comments what you think, because, I mean, maybe he had nothing to do with it at all, although they did say the tattoo on the guy's arm, the tattoo artist expert said it's consistent with being someone who's a con, who had been in prison. And that's very interesting. So, I mean, he did say it was black and gray. Then I found out, though, that was an infrared camera, so it wouldn't pick up color. So now I'm not too sure about that particular point of that, but it looked like he said that it would have been done in a prison. So, possibly a con. So it kind of goes along with my theory. And also, nobody's tried to claim the $1.2 million. I mean, if I thought I knew who it was, definitely I would call in without the money. But, that's a huge incentive. And if there's someone out there who doesn't, does know who this is or has a suspicion and they didn't call, that would be pretty weird. Because who's going to turn down $1.2 million. So these are just my thoughts. And I want to thank you all for tuning in, and continue your prayers for the Guthrie family. And we just pray that there will be a solution so that they can have their peace in knowing where their mom is. So we'll just keep praying to the Lord. And in the meantime, God bless all of you. I love all of you. And I hope you have a super sparkly, blessed day from me and the man. Look at her. It's nighttime here. She drove for bed. Are you tired, man? You tired? You want to go to bed? She's been playing rough today. All right. Have a good one. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.